Alright, what's up YouTubers? Back to resume this Pacal the second game. So I'm starting to research liberalism. Now if I play around with the micromanagement of the cities, I can get liberalism in 8 turns by switching all cities over to research. Of course, the downside to doing that is I would delay all builds that are in progress at this point. So, judging by the fact that the other continent has built a grand total of 2 wonders, so the third wonder being the Islamic shrine, which doesn't really count, of course, because you're not actually building it with hammers. Yeah, the fact that the other continent has built all of 2 wonders up to this point in the game leads me to think that they're not teching very well. And I know that I have a monopoly among the civs on this continent. So I think it's unlikely that Lib is going to be snatched from me. So I'm going to elect not to go all-out research in order to get Lib. Okay, so you'll notice that Brennus is moving troops through my territory. So he's going to take the Barb City to the north. So this was a fortuitous byproduct of having that Barb City to the north, is that Brennus is going to send his stack of mobile military power, basically, to attack the Barb City. So that's going to present me with an opportunity. For now, though, I'm going to make a trade with Joao to get his 8 gold per turn. So he is the worst enemy of de Gaulle. So at some point I would expect de Gaulle to ask me to stop trading with the Portuguese. So the Taoist missionary, continuing his southern tour, hasn't found many units. So this game has been pretty peaceful. There haven't been any wars on this continent, and I haven't seen any messages of great generals being born. So there isn't any fighting going on the other continent either. So here I'm just checking to see if any of these guys will pay me something for the world map. It's not surprisingly, they're not going for it. Doesn't hurt to try. So all told, Brennus is going to concentrate about 17 or 18 units to take the northern Barb City. So 480 Joao builds Taj Mahal. Not surprising. He's had nationalism for a while and he does have marble. Okay, settlers done. I switch Book Small to research. Still short on workers. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to have a chronic shortage of workers in this game. So I'm gonna build a 5th one in Mayapan. But still, that's not going to be enough workers to get things done comfortably at the pace that would be optimal. But I really have to be careful about how I spend my hammers and my turns building things. I mean, what I should ideally want to do is to have the 2 plaintails mined south of the capital. But I don't really have the worker turns to spare. I have more high priority things to do with the available workers. Namely, to hook up the silver and also to hook up the first city. The goal is definitely spamming out a lot of wonders. I'm going to need to keep a strong military for the remainder of this game. Because I am going to need to whittle the Gaul down to size at some point to kill off his cultural attempt. And so it looks like this is going to play out as a domination / backdoor UN type game. Okay, forge is done in Lakamha. Not sure what to build here. Do want to get this city growing again. And another AP vote. Vote for Brennus. And Brennus goes friendly again, but it's kind of irrelevant. Because I don't want to be trading him any techs. Brennus actually has some pretty good land in the eastern half of his country. Yeah, The land on the eastern half of my country is just historically bad. I mean, I don't know if it's just maps on Deity are just this tough, but the land in the eastern half of my current territory is just like it's all-time bad. I can't remember playing another map where there is such a huge swath of land without a single food resource, or even without a single green tile. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Okay, here I'm just checking to see if I can get full value for education. So this will let me check to see if these guys are starting to research education. And it looks like the goal is going to give me full value. And Brennus, full value. So yeah, obviously Joao is not going to go for nationalism for education straight up. Looks like Joao will also give me full value for education, so I don't think any of these guys are starting to research it yet. Yeah, so I'm actually going to found the first city on one of the fur resources. I think it makes the most sense because I'm not going to have any food whatsoever to work that copper mine anyway. So I might as well get a fur resource instantly on founding the city, and also eventually be able to work the whales when optics comes in. Joao built another wonder. Or did I say Joao? I meant to say De Gaulle. De Gaulle built another wonder. Versailles. Really have no idea what to go for here in the city, so let's go for a cheap granary first, I suppose. Guess it'll be granary and lighthouse. At least I can grow the city up and get some commerce from the sea. I mean, this city is going to be worthwhile just for the fur resources, and the furs don't become obsolete until plastics, which is much, much later in this game. And so as you can see here that Rennes doesn't have that many units stacked in its capital anymore. And that's because many of the units that were in his capital have ended up north here to attack that barbed city. So I'm really tempted to close borders with him. Trap that stack up north. Okay, Mayapan builds granary. So what Mayapan needs actually is Buddhism. So it can start building the Buddhist buildings for the AP hammer bonus. Yeah, at this point, I think in hindsight what I should have done was taken the two cities off of building research, because if I take them off of research, I'm still going to get liberalism in 3 turns anyway. So, it's a bit of a misplay in hindsight. And so in Brennus' second city, there isn't much of a unit stack either. So if I were to build a mobile reserve of counter units, so things like crossbows, spearmen, or pikemen, then I should be able to play defensively against Brennus' northern stack, and my invading force of cuirassiers can immediately go to work on its cities without having to worry about the 17 or 18 units that Brennus has to the north. So, something to consider. Okay, so I have a fur online. So I'm gonna go ahead and trade it to De Gaulle for his 9 gold. So Brennus is starting to pull his stack back south. And de Gaulle demands that I cancel trades with Joao. Obviously, I'm gonna have to refuse, because I'm gonna need to be able to trade with Joao. So pick up a -1 with de Gaulle. It was bound to happen. So even if I go research in Mutal, it's still gonna take 2 turns for Lib. So I might as well build something more useful, like a Buddhist missionary for Mayapan. So I'm gonna go for a Hulkin for military police purposes at Mayapan. Yeah, this is Brennus's main unit stack. I mean, it's going to be more of a pain to deal with all of these units if they're holed up in one of Brennus's cities. So I think it's actually going to be better to close borders and force Brennus to use his northern units on my terms. Because what's going to happen if I just let those units return back to Celtic territory is that when I do finally invade with the Cuirassier stack, I'm just going to have to fight those units behind city walls and cultural defenses and all that. And so, better to keep them in the north, so that when I do declare war, I can fight them on open territory, or maybe entice them to attack me on favorable defensive terrain. I mean, if I can just get like 3 crossbows and 3 spearmen and probably a couple of muskets, then I think that's going to be a sufficient counterbalance to neutralize Brennus's northern stack for the most part. Yeah, so I'm 1 turn from Lib now, so the question becomes what to do. I don't think I want to Lib nationalism, because Joao is all too happy to trade it to me if I only put a couple of turns, maybe 3 turns into nationalism. So that seems like a waste. Now, if there were some way I can get music, then I can potentially get nationalism from Joao and trade for music, and then be in a position to lib military tradition. Unfortunately, I can't get music from anybody. I mean, Pacal just refuses to trade it for some reason. Yeah, well, he refuses to trade it because not enough people, not enough other civs know it yet. I mean, what I could do is put a couple of turns into nationalism, see if I can trade for that, and maybe in those 2 turns, another civ on the other continent may discover music, and then Pacal might be willing to trade for it. And that could put me in a position to lib military tradition. Of course, the potential downside, is that I don't really know what's going on the other continent, and so I might get burned with another unknown civ grabbing lib. Now, I don't think that's likely to happen, but obviously, the more turns you delay getting lib, the more possibility that that could happen. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, I think I'm going to stop the video here. So the 2 big questions at this point are what to do about lib and what to do about Brennus's unit stack to the north. So yeah, if you've watched to this point, thank you very much for bearing with my very deliberate pace of play, because I just been very careful to try to minimize the mistakes and misplays. And yeah, if you have any feedback, advice, suggestions, yeah, I'd be happy to read about them in the comments. So, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.